Learning Gateway. I hope you all are doing good and you all are fit and fine at your house. So today I came up with a new video for class 10 students science, and the name of the chapter is Sources of Energy. This is chapter number 14 from your NCERT science textbook, and this chapter will is not there in the CBSE term 2 syllabus, but this chapter is there in the other state board syllabus. So students, go through the video, read your NCERT book. If you have any doubts, you can comment in the comment section. I will definitely try to clear your doubts. Let's start with the chapter. As the name suggests, sources of energy. So this chapter is from physics section. Okay, this chapter is from physics section. So let's start with the chapter. Okay, the first topic which we will deal over there is the introduction part. So as the name of the chapter is sources of energy. Energy. Okay, sources of energy. So you all know that energy is very important for us. We cannot do any of the work without energy. Suppose in your body you don't have any energy, you cannot perform any work, right? You don't want to work, you don't want to play. And in our junior classes, we have also read the definition of energy is that energy is the capacity to do work. Okay, so in this chapter, we will read about the sources of energy. Sources means the places from where we get energy, from where we get the energy, that we will read in this chapter. So let's start with the chapter. So the first thing which is written over there is a source of energy is one which provide adequate amount of energy in a convenient form over a long period of time. So what is a source of energy? A source of energy is that thing which give us a adequate means large amount of energy in a convenient form. Convenient form means which we can use, okay, which we can use for a long period of time. So that is called our source of energy. And why do we need energy? That we will read now. So the need of energy. The first point for the need of energy is for making food. Yes, you all have seen that LPG cylinders in our house. Okay, without that LPG cylinders, we cannot cook the food. In many of the places, like when you'll go to the villages, you'll see that people used to cook the food by burning the wood or coal. So that wood or coal is also giving energy to cook the food. For lighting, the electricity which we are using, that is also a form of energy. Because of that electricity, we can light the bulbs. For transport, the vehicles which are moving on the road, cars, buses, trucks, even the aeroplanes, they all are running because of the fuels which they are using, petrol, diesel, whatever the fuels they are using, because of that only they are running. For running machines in factories, you have seen lots of machines are there. Those machines are running because of energy. Without those energy, the machines cannot be performed. For industrial activities and agriculture work, yes, even for industrial activities and for agriculture work also we need energy. Without energy, these works are impossible. We cannot do these type of work without energy. So energy is what? Energy is the capacity to do work. You have seen over there that there are lots of uses of energy, right? So let's go to the next slide. Qualities of a good source of energy. Now we will be reading about the qualities of a good source of energy. Means what are the properties which a good source of energy should have? The first point which is given over there is which could do a large amount of work per unit mass. Means the energy which we are getting from any particular source, that energy can perform a large amount of work per unit mass. Okay, next, cheap and easily available. Yes, cheap means the cost should be less, then only everyone can afford that, right? And it should be easily available, means it should be present in a correct amount so that every person of the world can use that energy. Easy to store and transport. Yes, definitely it is also one of the point. It should be easy to store and to transport, means we can take it from one place to another place. Safe to handle and use. Yes, it should be safe to handle because many of the sources are dangerous also, which is very dangerous for our health. So it should be safe to handle and use. Does not cause environmental pollution. Yes, this is the most important point. The source of energy which we are using, it should not create any environmental pollution like air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, etc. It should be eco-friendly. Correct? So these are the qualities which should be present in a good source of energy. Next topic which we should read is fuels. So what are fuels? The materials which are burnt to produce heat energy are known as fuels. So what are fuels? Fuels are those substances which burn to give us heat and light. For example, coal, wood, LPG, kerosene, these all substances burn to give us heat and light. The fuels are those materials which burn to give us heat and light. Next, now we will be reading about the characteristics of a good fuel. What are the characteristics of a good fuel? That we will read now. So see, the first characteristic of a good fuel is high calorific value. Means a good fuel should have a high calorific value. Means whenever it will burn, it should give us a proper amount of heat. Correct? Second point, you should remember high calorific value in this one. Burn without giving out any smoke or harmful gases. For example, LPG cylinder. When your mother is cooking food in the kitchen, you have seen that when the food is cooked by the LPG cylinder, no smoke or harmful gases are emitted that time. But if someone will cook the food with using coal or wood, lot of smoke and a lot of harmful gases will come out. Correct? So a good fuel should not give any smoke or harmful gases. To make the food using LPG cylinder is the best option for us because it does not create any pollution. Next, proper ignition temperature. The fuel should give us a proper ignition temperature also. Suppose you are burning a fuel, it is giving you heat, but that heat is not enough to cook the food. Correct? So it should give us a proper ignition temperature so that we can cook the food or use it according to our work. Cheap and easily available means cost should be less so that everyone can afford it. All the poor peoples, rich people, everyone could afford that fuel, and it should be easily available. Easy to handle, safe to transport. Yes, it should be easy to handle and it should be safe to transport so that we can take it from one place to another place. Convenient to store. Also, we should store it properly so that it is easy for us to store so that we can use it in the future. Burn smoothly means it does not create any problem for us while burning. It should burn smoothly. So these are the characteristics of a good fuel as well as good source of energy. Now let's come to the next topic, sources of energy. So now our main topic starts with this one, that sources of energy. So there are two sources of energy, conventional sources of energy and non-conventional sources of energy. So remember this one, that in this chapter we will be reading about the two sources of energy, conventional sources of energy and non-conventional sources of energy. So what are conventional sources of energy? Conventional sources of energy are those sources which are used from a long time and are known to most of the people. Conventional sources of energy, these sources of energy are used from a long time and most of the people know about them. For example, fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are conventional sources of energy which are used from a long time, like petrol, kerosene, diesel, coal. These all are the examples of fossil fuels which are used by the people from very long time. Right? Now, let's see what are fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are formed from the dead organic matter over millions of years, buried deep under the earth. What happens? That when the plants or the animals, they will die, they will be buried in the earth. After millions of years ago, those dead plants and animals will be changed into fossil fuels. Example, coal or natural gas. These are the examples of fossil fuels. So you should learn the definition of fossil fuels because this question can be asked in very short answer questions for 1 mark. What are fossil fuels? Give example. So what you'll write, fossil fuels are formed from dead organic matter over millions of years, buried deep under the earth. Example, coal or natural gas. They are non-renewable sources of energy as they have limited reserves and hence finding alternative sources is essential to avoid energy crisis. Non-renewable sources means non-renewable sources of energy are those sources which are present in very limited amount and can and for future needs these are not available to us. Means they are present in very less amount in the nature. Correct? So if we will use it in a means every day, if we'll use lot of fossil fuels, what happen, our future generation will not get fossil fuels. Means it can lead to energy crisis that time. Correct? One in the beginning of the chapter, when you read the chapter, you will read about law of conservation of energy. Law of conservation of energy. So what is the statement of law of conservation of energy? According to law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another. For example, electrical energy can be converted into heat energy, light energy, sound energy, means electrical energy can be converted into sound energy. Kinetic energy can be converted into mechanical energy. So one form of energy can be converted into other form of energy according to law of conservation of energy, right? We cannot create energy, neither we can destroy energy. But then also the problem of energy crisis is there, means if we will use all the energy uh, for our need, then what will happen? Our future generation will not get that much energy, means they cannot use that the benefit of energy. Now, there are some disadvantages of burning fossil fuels. So, what are the disadvantages of burning fossil fuels? That we will read now. Fossil fuels produce byproducts due to combustion of which causes air pollution. Whenever you will burn any fossil fuels like coal, what happens when you burn this coal? Lot of pollutants are emitted in the atmosphere, like harmful gases, ash. Many things are emitted into the atmosphere, which causes air pollution. Burning of coal and petroleum produces harmful oxides of carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur, which pollute the air, leading to acid rain and greenhouse effect. Yes, this is also one of the most important point. While burning coal and petroleum, what happened? Harmful oxides of carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur are produced. Means carbon monoxide gases, nitrogen dioxide gases, sulfur dioxide gases are produced, which will mix up with the rain, and that causes acid rain. And even greenhouse effect is also caused because of these pollutants. Next, gases emitted by the combustion of fossil fuels are main contributor to global warming. Yes, when we burn the fossil fuels, lot of harmful gases are emitted, which can lead to global warming also. You have heard in the news channels or in the newspapers also that the temperature of Earth is increasing day by day. That leads to global warming, and that is not good at all for human beings, animals, plants, etc. So all these causes greenhouse effect, global warming, these all are because of burning of fossil fuels. So this is one of the disadvantages of burning fossil fuels. It causes air pollution, it leads to greenhouse effect, acid rain, global warming. Now the next topic which we will read about, thermal power plants. So what is the meaning of thermal? Thermal means heat. Okay, thermal means heat. Thermal power plants. So see, what are thermal power plants? Thermal power plants use steam produced by burning fossil fuels to move the turbines to generate electricity. In thermal power plants, what happens? Coal is burnt to heat the water. Okay, when water is heated by the help of coal or other fossil fuels, the water will produce steam, and that steam is used to rotate the turbine. Rotate the turbine, and that turbine is connected to a generator, and generator give us electricity. Okay, so in thermal power plant, thermal means heat. Using the heat, we generate electricity. So coal is burnt, it is you that heat is used to heat up the water. From that, steam is generated. Steam rotates the blades of the turbine, and after that we get the electricity. So this was the concept of your thermal power plant. So see what is written over there. In thermal power plants, use steam produced by burning fossil fuels to move the turbines to generate electricity. The burning of coal heats up the water and forms peat that is used to run the turbine. Yes, coal is burned to heat up the water, and after that, that steam is used to rotate the blades of the turbine. The thermal power plants are located near coal or oil fields, as it is easier to transmit electricity than transport coal. Yes. See, suppose your thermal power plants are located very far from the coal mines. Then what will happen? You have to carry the coal, you have to bring the coal to the thermal power station. The cost will increase, right? Transportation cost will increase. So what is done, that thermal power plants are located or situated near the coal mines only, so that the transport cost will be less for them, so they can manage the transport cost. Okay, so always the thermal power plants are located near the coal mines or coal fields, so that it so that the transportation cost will be less in that case. So now the next topic which we have to read is hydropower plant. Just now we have read about thermal power plants. Next is our hydropower plant. So what is the meaning of hydro? Hydro means water. Using water we generate electricity. Let's see how. See, you have seen the rivers, right? That river water is stored in the dams. Dams are made, reservoirs are made. In that, the river waters are collected. Okay, the river water is stored over there. So when the water is stored in the dam, the water is having potential energy. When the water will be allowed to flow from the dam, the potential energy of the water is changed into kinetic energy. And when the water will flow, they will rotate the blades of the turbines. And through the turbines, generator is connected, and that generator will give us electricity. Correct? So the water, the speed of the water, the flowing water is rotating the blades of the turbine, and the turbine is connected to the generator. Through the generator we are getting electricity. So using water also we can generate electricity. So see what is written over there. It is the most conventional renewable energy source obtained from water falling from a great height. In a dam water is stored, and when the water will flow from a great height, what will happen? The water will rotate the blades of the turbine, and it will generate the electricity. When water is allowed to fall from a height, potential energy changes into kinetic energy, which rotates the turbines to produce electricity when the water is stored in a dam. That is having potential energy. But when the water will allowed to fall from a great height, the potential energy changes into kinetic energy, because of which the blades of the turbine will rotate, and it can produce electricity. But there are some disadvantages also uh, by by the construction of dams, because for construction of dams large amount of money is also needed. Even for construction of dams, the forests are cleared, means the wild animals or the wild species, their homes are destroyed, and in that area the people are constructing the dams. Even sometimes what happen, many of the people live in that area, that particular area is changed into dam. People are constructing the dam over there, the places, the people over there, they're removed from that places, means their homes are destroyed, they have to move to other places when the dams are constructed. So there are many some disadvantages also. Now we will be reading about the advantages as well as the disadvantages of hydropower plants. So first discuss about the advantages of hydropower plants. See, it is readily and abundantly available everywhere free of cost. Means hydropower plants, water is available everywhere and it is free of cost also. So it is available everywhere free of cost. Second, it is eco-friendly. It does not produce any kind of pollution. Yes, it is also one of the most important point, that it does not create any pollution. It is renewable resource. Renewable source means it is present in a large amount, and it will be present in our future also. It will not get finished off. It is renewable and inexhaustible resource. Inexhaustible means it will not finish off for the future generation. It will be available. It is cheap source of energy, as it does not involve any cost investment. See, for water is present in the nature, we don't have to pay any money for that. Means water can give us electricity, and that is a cheap source of energy. Next, but there are some disadvantages also of hydropower plant. Highly expensive to construct. What is expensive to construct? Dams. To construct the dams, the cost is more, means we have to spend lot of money to construct the dams. Dams cannot be constructed in all the river side. Yes, we have so many rivers in India or in the world, but in all the river sites we cannot construct the dams. Large areas of human habitation and agriculture fields get submerged. Sometimes what happen, that many of the people who live near the rivers, they have to move from that place, means their home and habitation is get destroyed. Even the agricultural lands, they are also get destructed because of the construction of dams. People face social and environmental problems. Many of the problems are faced by the people who live near the areas where dams are constructed. So apart from advantages, there are some disadvantages also of hydropower plants. Next, we will be reading about biomass and charcoal. So what is biomass? Bio means something in which life is there, right? So dead and decayed parts of plants and animals are called biomass, because in plants and animal life was there, but when they will die, suppose some plant is there that will die, some animals are there that will die, after some time they will be changed into a substance called as biomass. Example: wood, charcoal, cow dung, biogas. These all are the examples of biomass because they all are prepared from the dead and decayed parts of plants and animals. Next, we will read about charcoal. When wood is burnt in limited supply of air, when you burn wood in limited oxygen or limited air, what will happen? Water and other volatile matters are removed and charcoal is formed. Means when we burn wood in less amount of oxygen, what will happen? Water and other substances are removed from the wood and wood is changed into charcoal. But do you know that charcoal is better than wood? Means charcoal is a good fuel if we compare it with wood. Why it is so? Because it has higher calorific value than wood. Charcoal will give us more heat as compared to wood. While burning, it does not produce any smoke. When you will burn charcoal, you will see that no smoke will be produced. It does not produce smoke like wood. It is easy to handle and convenient to use. Again, it is very easy for us to handle it and it is very easy to use it. So these are the three properties by which we can say that charcoal is a better fuel than wood. Remember that calorific value is more, does not produce smoke, and it is also convenient to use and handle. Next topic which we will be reading is biogas. It is also one of the important topic from this chapter. So what is a biogas? Biogas is produced in a biogas plant. One biogas plant is given in your textbook. You can see that picture. In that is the biogas plant. In that, biogas is produced. And which is the main constituent of this biogas? Methane. This question is generally asked in the exam. Name the main constituent of biogas. It is methane, and the formula of methane is CH4. The plant has a dome-like structure built with bricks, and this biogas plant is having a dome type of structure and it is made up of bricks. A slurry of cow dung and water is made into the mixing tank from where it is fed into the digester. Now see, what is done in biogas plant? Cow dung plus water is mixed and it is placed in that biogas plant, and then it is allowed to go into the digester. What is this digester? The digester is a sealed chamber in which there is no oxygen. Then the cow dung and water is allowed to go into the digester where they will not get any oxygen. If no oxygen is present, then which bacteria will act over there? Anaerobic microorganisms. What are anaerobic microorganisms? Anaerobic microorganisms are those organisms which do not need oxygen, that do not require oxygen to decompose or break down complex compound of the cow dung slurry. They will break down the cow dung into small particles. Decompose means small particles. Anaerobic microorganisms will break down the cow dung into small particles. It takes a few days for the decomposition process to be completed and generate gases like methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen and hydrogen sulfide. When the decomposition process will occur, many gases will be generated that time. And what are the names of those gases? Methane is generated, carbon dioxide, hydrogen and hydrogen sulfide. These are the gases which are generated. The biogas is stored in the gas tank above the digester from where they are drawn through the pipes for use. After that, the gas is collected in the gas tank, and from the gas tank the pipes are connected through which we can use the biogas for our use. So what we have read in biogas plant, that biogas plant is a dome shaped structure and it is made up of bricks. Correct? It is made up of bricks. Next, the slurry of cow dung and water is fed into the digester. In the digester, anaerobic microorganism will decompose the cow dung, and many of the gases are generated like methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and that biogas is collected in a gas tank from where we can use it through the pipelines. Okay, you can see the picture of the biogas plant over there. One second. This is the biogas plant which you can see over there. See, it is a biogas plant. This is the slurry of cow. Over here you have to feed that slurry of cow dung and water. Okay, then it will go into the digester. Microorganisms will act over there. The gases will be generated, Then the gas tank over there, the gas tank, this is the gas tank where the gases are collected, like methane, carbon dioxide gas is collected, and through this pipe you can use that gas for your use. And after that, the byproducts of this biogas plant are used as manures and fertilizers, which can be used for growing the plants, which is very good for the plants. Now, advantages of biogas. A biogas is an excellent fuel as it contains up to 75% methane. So how much methane is present in that biogas? 75% methane. That's why methane is the main constituent of biogas. It burns without smoke. No smoke will be emitted while burning biogas, and it does not leave any residue like ash. When you burn wood, you'll get ash, but in case of biogas plant, you will not get any residue. Its heating capacity is high, and the biogas, when you'll use the biogas, the heat produced is very high. It is also used for lighting. The slurry left behind is used as excellent manure rich in nitrogen and phosphorus. I have told you that the byproducts which are left after the collection of the gas is used as a manure, and it is having a good percentage of nitrogen and phosphorus for growing the crops. It is safe and efficient method of waste disposal. Cow dung, what is that? It is a waste. From that waste we are making the biogas, and that biogas is used for many of the uses. Correct? So it is one of the very good idea to use the waste material. So the next topic which we have to discuss is wind energy. Wind energy, correct? So what is wind? Fast flowing air is called wind, right? We have read that. So from wind also we get energy, correct? Wind also give us energy. So how we get energy from wind? You have seen in many places windmills are there. Okay, windmills. In that windmills, the blades are there like this, like a fan. The blades are there. When the wind will blow, the blades will rotate. And from that we get energy or electricity. The energy obtained from the wind is called wind energy, right? Yes, the energy which we get from wind is called wind energy. Today wind energy is also used to generate electricity. Nowadays there is lot of energy crisis. The population is increasing. Because of that, there are new methods, new ideas are invented to get energy. In that case, wind energy is used to generate electricity these days. A windmill essentially consists of a structure similar to a large electric fan that is erected at some height on a rigid support. You can see the structure of a windmill. It is like a fan. At the top, it is like a fan, and below it is like a tower. So when the wind will blow, the blades will rotate, and from that we get the electricity. It is connected to the generator, and by that we get the electricity. To generate electricity, the rotatory motion of the windmill is used to turn the turbine of the electric generator. When the blades will rotate, the blades of the turbine will rotate, and through that generator we get the electricity. The output of single windmill is quite small and cannot be used for commercial purpose. But if we construct, or if we put only single windmill, what will happen? We cannot get electricity. So what we have to do? We have to place many windmills in the same place. Number of windmills should be placed in the same place to get proper energy or electricity. And when number of windmills are placed in the same place, that is called wind farm. Wind farm. Therefore, a number of windmills are erected over a large area, which is known as wind energy farms. The energy output of each windmill in a farm is coupled together to get electricity on a commercial scale. Suppose many windmills are there at a place. Then what will happen? The blades of all the turbines will rotate at the same time, and we can get a large amount of electricity from all the windmills. That's why large number of windmills are placed or constructed in a particular area known as wind farm, and from there we get electricity. Now, if we talked about windmill, there will be some advantage as well as some disadvantages also. So let's discuss the advantages of windmill. It is an environmental friendly, means wind energy will not create any pollution. It is environmental friendly. Efficient source of renewable energy. Yes, renewable energy means it is present in a large amount and it will not finish off in the future, because wind will be present. We will get wind all the time and every time. So it is an efficient source of wind energy. It requires no recurring expenses for the production of electricity. Means cost is less for us. Means less money you have to spend on that. It requires no recurring expenses for the production of electricity. For generating electricity, less amount of money we have to spend in constructing that windmill. Now, there are some disadvantages also. Wind energy farms need large area of land. Yes, just now we have talked that one windmill cannot do anything. We have to put large number of windmills together so that we can get electricity. So for that, what we need large area of land. Difficult in getting regular wind speed of 15 to 20 kilometer per hour, but it is not so that every time we will get the wind at the same speed. Sometimes the wind will blow at a low speed also. Correct. Initial cost of establishing windmill farm is very high, but initially when we have to set up a windmill, the cost is very high. That time we need a lot of money to construct the windmill. High level of maintenance of blades of windmill. The blades of the windmill which we have seen in the picture, if by chance there will be some problem in that, then high level of maintenance is required. So overall what we have read, that lot of money is needed to construct a windmill. Large area is needed, and the speed of wind is not regular every time. So these are the disadvantages of wind energy. So these many topics we will cover in the first part of this chapter, sources of energy. The other topics I will be covering in the next part of the same chapter, that will be part 2 of sources of energy. So go through the textbook, read the notes which are given in the slides. I have covered all the notes from your NCERT textbook, so that you don't have to read. Means during the exams you can go through it and you can make your own notes from it. Everything I have written in point wise, so that it will be easy for you to remember it. But from my end, please give a reading to your NCERT book, so that if I have skipped any of the topic or any sentence, then you should read that, so that in exam you can get good marks from that. So wait for the second part of the video and listen to this one. And if you like this tutorial, then please like it, share it with your friends also. And if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe to it. Thank you for watching my channel, Science Learning Gateway. And I have seen that many of you are watching my video but not subscribing to my channel. Please students, subscribe to it, so that I will also feel motivated. With your beautiful comments, I also get motivated. So it's a humble request to you all that please, if you like the tutorial, then please click on the like button, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.